Greetings, mighty companions, and welcome back to Practical and Healing Applications of A Course in Miracles with me, Anna Kujawa-Quinn, here at the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center in Denver. And we are doing what we always do on Monday. I've already done the opening prayer, asking Spirit to choose for us where in A Course in Miracles we go for this session, and this is what I picked out, chapter 29-2 in both books. But first we're going to do just a couple of minutes of landing back home in the present moment. So take a breath so that we can let go of the world and let go of our day. And let go of everything that's not happening right here and right now. And we breathe. Inviting your mind to come to rest. Landing softly and gently in the present moment where you are. Resting in the perfection and the peace and the power of the present moment. And just rest in the moment, remembering you need do nothing in this holy instant, but be. And as we tune our awareness to the frequency and the vibration of this moment now, let's see if we can feel or detect the presence that lives in the present moment. Doesn't that feel good? Every once in a while to just do nothing and rest in the moment, to be present. How restful. All right, so when you're ready, just take a breath and bring your awareness back to the room and back to your body. Hi, Trisha. Hi, Bridget. Lovely to see you guys. Oh, beautiful. Trisha says, so beautiful. Hello, my mighty family. Thank you. Well, we say hello and gratitude back to you, Trisha. You are part of our holy family. And you too, Lloyd, Bridget. All right. We do have a mighty family. We do have a mighty family. So, something to appreciate. And that's a miracle. A family that's mighty. Usually you don't put those two together, right? You know, usually you don't put like holy and family together, right? But we have a family that's also holy because its goal is innocence. Now that, manifesting an innocent family. No matter what kind of family you were born into. All right, hi dear.
I know my hair board.
I know.
Oh, there's no such thing as a board.
Exactly. All right, you guys, so we are in chapter 29. Hi, Terry. Terry says, hello, beauties. Look, people are flirting with you on Facebook. They are calling you beauties. Holy family. All right.
Take it.
What'd you say?
I'll take it.
Okay, that's right.
Thank you
I'm
for
not
seeing
rejoicing.
us, Brett. Thank you for
this correctly.
see you correctly. Hallelujah. That is a miracle. All right, so chapter 29, section 2, and it's called The Coming of the Guest. Le Coming of the Guest. And Julie told us that I did this class 5/15 last year.
And in 2010.
And in 2010. And it's
in May also.
And it's also May 15th today. So, what are the chances of that? And we would never know that if you didn't keep track of that, Julie. So
I know, I wouldn't know it either.
Yeah.
You're like our automatic.
Exactly. Our what's it called?
Automatic?
Almanac. Thank you. Exactly. I love it. So it's called The Coming of the Guest. Here's the first line. Ready for a great first line? Why would you not perceive it as release from suffering to learn that you are free? That's quite an opening line there. Say what? Why would you not see it as release from suffering to learn that you are free? Okay, are you saying that when I learn that when I learn that I am free, I am released from suffering? So my suffering is, I haven't learned that I am free. I haven't learned yet that I am free. Obviously, look at how I act. Obviously, I have not learned that I am free, right? Because what am I doing instead of being free? I'm letting my fear and my guilt keep me from being free. So that's how we know that I don't see my freedom. That I haven't learned that I'm free. Okay, and then I still got suffering. Now, then it asks another question. Why would you not acclaim the truth of your freedom instead of looking on your freedom as an enemy? Oh, did you know that you looked upon your freedom as an enemy? Did you know that? No. Did you know that you look upon other people's freedom as an enemy? Yes. Say yes. The answer is yes.
I'm going to give you this answer.
Yes. I know that I see their freedom as an enemy to me, but I haven't learned yet that I am free and that is my release from suffering. Wow. So the recognition, the learning that you are free is the release from suffering. Now, then it says, and why would you not acclaim the truth of your freedom instead of looking on the truth of your freedom as an enemy? All right. Well, before you answer that question, there's another question. And the next question is, why does an easy path of freedom, being yourself, so clearly marked it's impossible to lose the way, it's always for your freedom, why does the freedom easy path seem thorny, rough, and far too difficult for you to follow? Why does the path of you learning that you are free seem like a thorny, rough, and far too difficult to follow path? Wow. I see my freedom as something that is a thorny, difficult, rough path or life. Very interesting, okay? Everybody still with us?
I must not understand freedom.
Okay, very good.
I thought I had to fight for freedom.
They're very good. I had to sacrifice for freedom. That's the answer. That's right. Because isn't it the reason why the path of just being, learning you are free free to be yourself, free, the reason that it seems like a thorny, rough, and far too difficult road for you to follow, is it not because you see the path of freedom to be yourself as the road to hell, instead of looking on the path of being free to be yourself as a simple way without a sacrifice or any loss to find yourself in heaven and in God? What?
And then, isn't it,
That was a mouthful.
no pain, no gain. So how can it be easy? We don't
Exactly.
like it. We go, no, it can't be easy. That's what's
Yes. So apparently,
Yeah, we need to
I
stop.
see learning that I am free and learning that you are free as a big sacrifice and loss, right? And for sure, some abandonment to learn that I am free and that you are free. I believe that if I learn I am free, I believe that I will have to lose and I will have to sacrifice. Okay? For instance, in our relationships, you can see it in our relationships. If I be free to be myself, I'm definitely going to lose most everybody. If I learn that I am free and that then I believe that no one would want to be in a relationship with me. Because I have learned that to be in a relationship, to have a relationship, you cannot be free to be yourself. Have not we all learned that? Right? And so I believe that if I learn that I am free and accept my freedom, that I will sacrifice and lose the relationship. And I obviously believe that if I learn that they are free, then I will lose them. That's what we've learned about freedom. That's our idea about freedom. Woohoo! Can't be free to be yourself and have a relationship. Everybody knows that. What do we all learn about relationships? If you want to keep a relationship, you got to learn to compromise. You got to be willing to sacrifice.
Give and take.
It's a give and take. It's a balance. So we've all learned that, and that's why we don't recognize that learning that we are free is our release from suffering. Wow. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Raphael.
Hi, Raphael. How'd you find your way here today?
Meetup.
Wonderful. Nice to meet you. Are you familiar with the course?
Yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And if you need a book, there's books. We have
Yeah,
books.
you need a book.
I'm good.
Sure. Okay, great. So just so you know for later, we're in chapter 29, section 2. And the name of this section is called The Coming of the Guest.
Okay.
Okay. And the first line was, why would you not perceive it as a release from suffering to learn that you are free? It's a great question. So, learning that I'm free is my release from suffering, but why am I not celebrating that and acclaiming that and going the path of freedom? Freedom to be what I am. Freedom. Freedom where, what is freedom? Well, I'm not having to sacrifice anything. I'm not having to sacrifice anything to have anything. I'm free. Okay? But we see, I mean, the great second question, why does an easy path of just being free, so clearly marked it's impossible to lose the way, why does the freedom path seem thorny, rough, and far too difficult for you to follow? Isn't it because that you see being free, learning you are free, as the road to hell, instead of looking on the path of being free as a simple way without a sacrifice or any loss. Until you realize that you give up nothing, until you realize you sacrifice nothing, until you understand there is no loss in your freedom, being free, then you will have some regrets about the freedom path that you have chosen. Oh, I have? Oh, I see. There's my conflict. I have chosen the path of learning that I am free. You know, that I am innocent, right? I have chosen that, but I still have some regrets about the path called freedom that I have chosen. I'm still like making little exceptions, like, I'll free you, and free myself sometimes. But until I learn that I am free and that my freedom does not require any sacrifice at all or loss, me or somebody else, then I'll be like, little lady, I'm working on freeing you. I'm working on freeing myself. You know, in our relationships, because we've learned that love and sacrifice are one. That's what we've all learned in the past about love, about relationships. Now, we can't even conceive of love or a relationship without loss and sacrifice of our freedom. Can't just be free to be yourself. You've got a relationship. And that's what we've learned. And so we look at, so our only way to release ourselves from suffering is something that we are afraid of. We see it as the road to hell. The path to the only release from suffering we see as the path to hell. Wow. That's why we're not rejoicing to learn that we are free. Wow. Deep. Okay, everybody, let's take a breath. Wow. All right. Now, until you realize that you give up nothing in your path of being free, until it says, while you believe that to be free you have to sacrifice something, you won't see the many gains that your choice to be free has offered you. That's right. I've decided, I've chosen, I want to be free. Free to be myself. What am I? I'm choosing a path of learning that it's safe to be myself. I'm learning that. I have chosen that. That's why I've chosen A Course in Miracles. It's safe to be yourself, and that's what we're learning. Oh, I'm not going to lose anything real if I choose to be free. If I choose to be myself, I'm not going to lose anything or anyone. That's what we're learning. And while we're learning, we won't see the many gains our choice to be free, to be ourselves, is offering us. Our freedom offers many gains. I'm like, no, the only thing that yields gains is the sacrifice I make, of being myself. That's what we believe is the only thing that yields gains. Is don't be yourself. Don't be free. But that's why we don't see yet the many gains that our choice to learn that we are free has offered us. They're there. We just don't see them right now. Wow.
I hope it's going to help us with that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I love it. Now notice, it didn't say, I'm learning how to free you. I'm learning how to give you your freedom. I give you your freedom. I give you a hall pass, to be yourself on Tuesdays and Sundays. Right? It doesn't say, giving somebody else freedom. It says learning that you are free. You are free to be yourself, and there is no loss or sacrifice that is asked when you learn you are free. Wow, we got it all backwards. All right, well, that was paragraph number 1. That was one paragraph of A Course in Miracles.
And it was hard to believe.
You could spend a lifetime on that one paragraph. All right. Well, let's go on. As Matt was saying, they are going to teach us how to do that, right? It says, but even though, paragraph 2, even though you don't see the many gains your choice to be free, to learn you are free, yet, it says, yet though you don't see the many gains your freedom offers you, the many gains your freedom offers you are there. Why? Because the cause of the many gains from your freedom has been effected. And so the effects of your freedom, the gains of your freedom must be there where their cause has entered, which is in your mind. Okay, so I have accepted the cause of freedom. How do I know? Because I'm a student and teacher of A Course in Miracles, which is all about release your fear to be yourself. Remember, you are free. Be yourself. There is no loss in that, but there is only gain. All right. Now, and I've accepted that freedom path in my mind, and so the many gains my freedom offers me must be present in my mind. In other words, you have accepted healing's cause. And what's healing's cause? Freedom. Because remember, what did it say that learning you are free does? It brings release from suffering. That's what healing means. Release from suffering. That's what healing means. So when you've accepted healing's cause, aka the path to learn that you are free, so it must be that you are healed. You've accepted the cause of healing in your mind. Well, the effects of healing must also be there too. Oh, I did not know that the effects of healing are also in my mind present, must be right now. Who knew? All right. And being healed, the power to heal must also now be yours. You've accepted the cause of healing in your mind, called truth, called freedom. And so now you are healed, and the power to heal must also now be yours. Okay, great. So you're saying that the power to heal must also be mine now too. Is that what you're saying? Okay. The power to what? To heal must also now be mine. Even if I don't know it, even if I don't see it, even if I'm not using it, I must have it now. Okay. Now it says the miracle, which is the healing, the miracle is not a separate thing that happens suddenly as an effect without a cause. Nor is the miracle in itself a cause, but where the miracle's cause is, there must miracles be. Now, right now, is the miracle caused in your mind, even though you don't see it yet. And the miracle, the healing's effects are also there in your mind, even though you don't yet see them. Now, why is it I have accepted the cause of healing in my mind, but I don't yet see the effects of the healing that I did accept in my mind? Why not? Why am I not? I'm healed. Why I don't see the effects of that? Why not?
Probably because I'm not getting it.
Exactly. Very good. And because I'm not looking inward. I'm not. Now, if you were looking in the right place, you would see it. But we're not looking inward. We're looking outward. Okay? And then so it says, look inward now. Look inward now. And if you look inward now, you won't see a reason for regret or loss or sacrifice. If you look inward now, you won't see a reason for regret But you will see cause indeed for glad rejoicing, which means for hope of peace. If you look within now, you're going to go, oh man, there is a chance for me to have peace. Even though I couldn't see how I could have peace in this, no way. I was looking outward and I'm like, I don't see any hope for peace as I open my eyes and look outward. But when I close my eyes and look inward, I see, oh man, I do have cause to hope for peace. There is a chance for peace for me in this experience, even here in what seems like hell. And I'll see that when I look inward now. Now I've accepted the cause of healing in my mind. I've accepted truth into my mind. I've accepted the cause of healing. But if I don't look within, I won't see the effects of it. All right. I love that because my ego tells me, don't look in, don't look inward, don't look inward. You don't have the time, you're too distracted, there's too many things going on, it's too busy around, it's never quiet enough, don't look within. Does your ego tell you that too? You may have, yeah. Do not look within, because if you look within, your eyes will light on something that is so horrible about you that you will just rush to death by your own hand. If you see what's inside of you, you'll be struck with horror so intense you'll rush to death by your own hand, only to realize after that I cannot die. That's what our ego tells us about looking inward. Don't do it. Just say no. That is what our ego says. Just say no to looking inward, because you'll see something that will strike you with horror so intense that you'll want to kill yourself. You'll feel so ashamed that you'll want to kill yourself, only realizing you can't. Okay, so this is saying, but if you look inward now, you won't see a cause for regret. You'll see a cause indeed for glad rejoicing and hope of peace. Well, who knew? All right, I should have known there was something good inward because of how intensely our ego tries to keep us from looking inward. I mean, wow.
Talk about being vigilant.
Man, you gotta like really be vigilant. I hear people tell me this all the time. I can't meditate. I can't. I try, I can't. I had my stepmother when I was in Atlanta. I was meditating in the living room. And she goes, Anna. And I go, yeah. She goes, I can't do that. And I was like, you're in good company. You're in very good company, I said. Like you said, vigilance. All right. Then in paragraph 3, it says, it has been hopeless to attempt to find the hope of peace upon a battleground. Now, what's a battleground? It's somewhere where you don't feel safe to be yourself, where you don't feel free. A place where you don't feel free to be yourself. That is a battleground. You ever noticed? You could be in the most beautiful mansion on the most beautiful mountain, overlooking the ocean with your best friends. But if you don't feel free to be yourself, you will feel like you're on a battleground. Can I get a witness? Anybody know what I'm talking about? I'm like, surrounded by the most beautiful thing, and I don't feel free, and I'm in hell. I'm with the most beautiful person, the most beautiful place, get the most beautiful things, and I feel like I'm on a battleground because I don't feel free to be myself. I feel guilty. What's the opposite of feeling free? I feel guilty. I feel like I need to sacrifice who and what I am, or whatever, something, in order to be loved. Whew. Okay, great. So, then it says paragraph 3. In other words, it has been futile to demand escape from sin, which means pain, of what was made to serve the function of retaining guilt and pain. I've been looking to how can I better sacrifice and compromise myself and not be free in order to be happy, but really, I was looking for my freedom in something where I could never, ever escape from pain or guilt, which is the same. Pain and guilt are the same.
Pain and guilt are the same.
Pain and guilt are the same. What is guilt? I don't accept that I am free to be myself. That's what guilt is. And if I wasn't feeling guilty, I would just be myself. You know, that's why sometimes I like to be alone. Because, you know, I don't feel guilty, just be myself. Just to be free, to be myself. Okay, and so guilt, which is the opposite of freedom, guilt and pain are one illusion. Alrighty. Okay. Just like hate and fear are one illusion, just like an attack and guilt are but one illusion. And where guilt and pain and sin and hate and fear and attack are causeless, their effects, pain, are gone. Okay, it just said how to get rid of the effect called pain. It just tells us how to get rid of pain. Well, wherever the cause of pain, guilt, is gone, then so too goes the pain is gone. When the cause of pain is gone, the pain is gone. When the guilt is gone, the pain is gone. Wow. All right. Okay. And when the cause of the pain is gone and then the pain is gone, then love must come wherever the pain and guilt are not. Wherever pain and guilt are not, that's where love comes to. So whenever I go, I don't want the cause of pain. I don't want guilt anymore. Guilt be gone. Poof. Guilt be gone. I don't want guilt anymore. Which means I don't want to not be free.
I don't like the pain.
Because I don't like the pain. Exactly. Isn't that interesting? Not learning that I am free and choosing to be free. I can't remember now. There's a little test, which I didn't pass. All right. Beautiful. So wherever I have pain right now, that is where I am choosing guilt and not learning I am free, not accepting that I am free. That's where I have pain in my experience right now. Yes.
I might need you to help me.
I hope I can. I really do.
So, you know, sometimes I sit there and I watch evening television shows where, you know, people get on TV and say how rotten the other people are.
Oh yeah, that's
all the
TV.
time. Yeah. And I think to myself, how do they go home and just live with themselves? I'd be like, I mean,
you'd have a lot of guilt.
Okay, so I was listening to a tape of Ken Wapnick. I forget when this was, a couple years ago. And he was talking about how people like that are incredibly well defended. Is how he
Yeah, because they feel so guilty.
Well, so.
But they are unconscious about it.
Well, okay, right. So, and this is where I think when I started getting heavy duty into the course, I was probably very well defended too.
Yeah.
You know, there was all these people out there that I saw as what they were doing wrong, I guess, and I didn't feel. How do I say this? I don't know if this is going to be totally accurate, but I probably feel more guilty today than I did back then because I'm aware of the guilt and I'm aware of what I'm doing.
Only because you're aware of it.
Yes.
Yeah. You are giving yourself less guilt these days because you're not attacking the guilt as much as you used to. You know, but because you are aware now that you can't attack and give other people guilt without also feeling guilty, now you're aware of it more. But in the past, when you were giving guilt, you were not aware that you were only giving yourself more guilt. Even if you said, I'm justified, I'm totally justified in attacking them, even if you told yourself, which we always do, we always tell ourselves we're justified in attacking somebody, giving them guilt. But even if you are justified in giving them guilt and attacking them, you still are going to very secretly increase your perception of guilt in your mind. And also giving yourself more pain, but never making the connection.
And this must be where a lot of people go off the rails with the course and don't stick with it because it brings up a lot of.
Are you kidding me?
Shangula, if you will.
Yes.
And it's like you have to keep sticking with it and using the tools to get to that point where.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
That's right. Exactly. And what is it that we most give people guilt about? What is it we most guilt trip people about? Is them exercising their freedom. How dare you? Exercise your freedom. How dare you? Like, be free. How dare you? Be free to be yourself. You're supposed to be like, I want you to be. I mean, you said you love me, right?
We agreed on a script.
Didn't we? I think I heard you say I do. I do see your bloody thumbprint on that contract. Wow. And so that's what we give people guilt about. In other words, that's what we attack people for, you know. And then we're like, why are they trying to keep me from my freedom? Now we're the victim. You're trying to hold me back. You're trying to hold me down. You don't want me to be myself. I have to not be myself around you. I wonder why. Okay. So, it says, we're still in paragraph 3. And then we said, love must come wherever guilt and pain are not. Why are you not rejoicing? This is an honest question. Our teacher says, why are you not rejoicing? You are free of pain and sickness. You are free of misery and loss and all effects of hatred and attack. You are free of them. Literally, in one moment you can go, I do not choose you. You are free of it. You don't have to sacrifice to it. You don't have to say, yes to the attack, to the guilt. You are free of it. You actually have already chosen to correct and heal guilt. You already have chosen that. You've already said, I don't want guilt. It's not my choice. That does not make me feel free. That does not make me feel safe. Okay, so we have chosen that. And then saying, why are you not rejoicing? You are free of loss and all effects of hatred and attack. You know why? Because no more is pain your friend and no more is guilt your God. Am I right?
That's why I'm
Just
not.
like Todd said, it used to be in our past that pain was our friend and guilt was our God. Remember? Remember back before A Course in Miracles, when you were more addicted, where pain was our friend and guilt was our God. But not anymore. We may still seem to not be completely free of the desire for guilt, but like you were saying, we give guilt and receive guilt so much less now. Now, like you were saying, now when you experience pain, now that you've been studying A Course in Miracles and learning the connection, now when you feel pain, you're like, I wonder if I was attacking. I wonder if I was giving somebody a big fat guilt trip today. I wonder if I was giving guilt. Now, because of A Course in Miracles, we're like learning the connection between the two and giving guilt less.
So is your interpretation then that the question was, why am I not rejoicing?
Yes.
Because I've accepted this is my purpose, to see everyone as innocent, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not attacking as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm. No more is paying your friend and guilt your God.
But I'm actually more sensitive to perceiving guilt and attack.
Yes, and the pain that comes with
and the
it.
pain that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
So is the resolution to this that I'm just not looking consistently enough inwardly to see the effects?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, absolutely.
I'm aware that perception is very selective, and I'm just not yet selecting to look inward enough to see the things that would make me rejoice.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And even though it's true for all of us here that pain is no more our friend and guilt is no longer our God, we still flirt with them a bit. You know, we're not willing to give up our total peace, you know, and because we're, you know, more quickly ready to go, no. No. I was flirting with pain today, but, you know, I just remember, thank God, that no. Pain's not my friend. You know, I may have been flirting a little bit with guilt here and there, but, you know, because of what I learned in the Course, guilt is not my God. Guilt used to be my God. You know, but now it's not my God anymore. So I've already accepted the total cause of our freedom from suffering and pain. But because I'm still not looking inward, I'm not seeing that, you know, all the gains to me in not making pain my friend or guilt my God anymore. So when I look within, I go, oh, thank God that I'm not making pain my friend or guilt my God anymore. And look at what it's doing for my life and my relationships. Look at all the gains. You know, now that pain is not my friend and guilt is not my God anymore, my relationships are, you know, exponentially better. My life is exponentially better. My relationships are exponentially better. You know, dramatically less conflict. You know, I'm not giving people guilt anymore for being free, and so now they love me more.
Or they left.
Or they left. Very good. Very good. Or they left. Exactly. Because somebody who wants pain to be their friend and guilt to be their God still, they are not going to appreciate your freedom from guilt. They're not going to appreciate it. You say, no, thank you. I don't accept guilt. No, thank you. I'm trying not to accept my own guilt, much less take on yours. Thank you. They would not really want to be with you, you know. Somebody who's using guilt because they believe that their freedom, those who, totally lost that thought. All right, that always means go back to the book. Just note to self, if you're ever, you know, studying the Course and you go like, what? And then just go back to the book.
Those who use guilt thinking still that it keeps them safe.
Yes, if those people will not, how much do people want to be around you if you're giving them guilt when they're exercising their freedom to be themselves? They don't want to be around you. They're going to be protecting themselves from you. So when you're accepting your freedom, learning you are free, and not giving people guilt for learning they are free, then everybody will want to be around you and will appreciate you and give you gifts and just love having you around because you are affirming their freedom, which means their innocence, their guiltlessness to be themselves.
It's like an oxymoron. Why would we ever want to be the other way now that we know the truth? You know, it's like...
Exactly, that's right. Yes, exactly.
You know what guilt does to us, you know.
That's right.
I mean, why would you want to...
Right, because we were saying before you came in, Jerry, that we have learned that if we learn we are free and be ourselves and do that with others, that they will leave us. That if we exercise and we learn that we are free, they will leave us. And if we remind them and affirm their freedom, they will leave us. You know, a lot of what we do in relationships is give each other the kind of guilt that we know would keep the other person with us in their body, in a special relationship with us. And that's what we've all learned. If you don't give them guilt, they'll just go be free. They'll go buck wild and they'll be free. And now the last you see of them, bye.
Wow.
That's what we've learned. You know, but the truth is you can't give real love, which is freedom, which is release from guilt, and be alone. Not a chance. Not a chance in heaven. Could you affirm someone's freedom, free them from guilt, and you be alone? There's not a chance.
Thank you for saying that, because that's a perfect example of how I won't recognize the truth, the effects of my choices if I'm not looking inward, because it will look like people disappeared.
Very good.
If I'm looking only outward.
Very good. If you're only looking outward, it will look like you did lose or you did sacrifice because there's not the body there. But when you look inward, like it told you to, you won't see a cause for regret, but you'll realize, I've been saved. Hallelujah. I'm so grateful. I'm learning I'm free and everybody else is too. And then your life just becomes so abundant with love and joy and appreciation. Because you're bringing the ultimate release from suffering to them, which is remembering and affirming that they are free from guilt. Okay, great. So that was paragraph 3. It says, the last line was, and you should welcome the effects of love, not run from them screaming. Your guest has come, period. That's an interesting way to start a sentence. Your guest, and notice how guest has a capital G. Your guest has come. Okay? Now, I just want to ask you, what is a guest? Yes?
Holy Spirit.
Very good. And a guest.
That's what you said a year ago.
Teacher's pet.
She's got the answer sheet from last year.
That sounds good.
You are a teacher's dream come true. You truly are.
Brown noser.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
Anyway, I never would have thought of that.
Yes.
On my own.
Yes. Well, the first thing that came to me today when I was reading this, the first thing that came to me was a guest is someone who only shows up when you invite them. That's who a guest is. You know, they only come when they're invited. You know, as opposed to an intruder who comes in whether you invite them or not. As a matter of fact, the more you don't invite them, the more they want to come in. I know you want me to come over, but that's why I'm coming over. So it says your guest with a capital G, which is your higher loving right mind. The Holy Spirit is your divine self, your true self, your higher self. Okay? It says your guest, your higher self, Holy Spirit, has come. Not maybe, not gonna, has come. You asked your guest, and your guest came. Now, you may not have heard your guest enter. Why? Because you didn't wholly welcome your guest in. That's right, I was entertaining some other guests sometimes. I didn't wholly welcome my guests. I was like, you can come in for a little bit till, fear, until pain and guilt come along. We have a date. So, I'm totally welcoming my guest, truth and love. And that's why I did not hear my higher self, Holy Spirit, enter into my mind. Yet, my guest came, and even though I didn't hear my guest enter, yet my guest's gifts came with my guest. I invited a guest in, my guest came, and I didn't hear my guest come in, so I'm not sure he's there, but still my guest came with lots of gifts, lots of presents. We all love presents. I love presents. A guest who comes over and comes with gifts, that's the best. That's the best. Like, you're my guest and you come with gifts? Awesome. It says, and your guest has laid its gifts at your feet. And your guest is now asking you that you would please look on the gifts your guest brought, that you would take its gifts for your own. Now that's my kind of guest. It comes in, it brings all these gifts, and even though I'm like not paying enough attention to it, I'm like, just sit over there, I'll be there in a little bit. It's still, my guest stays and sits there and has laid all its gifts at my feet, and all it's asking is, would you please accept all these gifts that I brought for you?
Here's your freedom, here's your joy, here's your peace.
Here's your freedom, here's your joy, here's your peace. Here's all the effects of the freedom, your freedom and their freedom, your innocence, their guiltlessness. Yes, those are all the gifts. And all the other gifts too, like, I know that you had a car problem. Well, look, here's a mechanic who's just like, how can I help you? Gifts, like whatever you need at the moment. There it is. Gifts. Wow. So the guest, like Julie said, is Holy Spirit, which is the Holy Spirit is the appointed friend that God gave us, that God placed within us, the comforter, the guide, the appointed friend. Okay, that's who the guide is. The guide and comforter that your Creator gave you to have within you all the time, to help you, to comfort you, to guide you, to bring you gifts, even though you're ignoring it. Now that's a nice guest. A guest comes in, I'm kind of ignoring my guest, paying more attention to the other guests, the intruders, and it still is there with all its gifts, just waiting patiently. Great, that's good to know that I have a guest like that in my mind. Maybe I'll pay more attention to it. Maybe.
A guest with infinite patience.
A guest with infinite patience. That's one of the gifts that it brings and places at our feet. Amazing. Okay. Now, then it says about our guest, this guest that we called who came with gifts, this guest needs is underlined, needs your help in giving these gifts to all who walk apart, believing they are separate, which means alone. Like I brought you all these gifts. They're all for you. And I need your help to give all these gifts I've given you to all those who walk alone, who walk separate, which means alone. Our guest needs us. You hear that? Our guest, in my book, the word needs is underlined. Your guest needs your help to bring all of these gifts to all those who walk separate, who walk apart, believing they are separate and alone. And when you give your higher self's gifts to others, the others will be healed when you accept your gifts. They will be healed when you accept your gifts, because your guest will welcome everyone whose feet have touched the holy ground whereon you stand, and where love's gifts for them, the others, are for them laid. Wow. Okay. So let's break that down a little bit, see what we're talking about, so that maybe we can increase our motivation a little bit more to acknowledge, to look inward and to acknowledge the guest that we have invited in, who has entered and brought gifts with it. We want to increase our motivation, because as we accept the gifts that this guest brings us, then everyone whose feet have touched the holy ground where we stand, everybody whose feet are around us will be blessed. Everyone who comes in contact with us, everyone who's around us will be blessed. They will, that's where Spirit's gifts for them are laid. So when they come near you, they're going to get the gifts. They're going to get the gifts that your guest brings when your guest arrives.
Do you get one of those party hats with it?
That certainly could be one of the gifts, especially if it was funny and made someone laugh. All right, so when you accept the gifts that come with your guest, then everybody around you gets blessed. Everybody whose feet touch the holy ground whereon you stand, they will receive the gifts that you accepted.
Which is allowing them to be themselves.
Which is allowing them to be themselves, which is affirming their freedom from guilt, their freedom to be themselves. Freedom to be yourself is freedom from guilt.
And being blessed.
Exactly. And it releases you from suffering. I mean, it's like the Ginsu of miracles, you know, it's like it releases you from suffering, and it brings into your mind a guest that comes with lots of gifts, lots of awesome gifts, and it sets it up where everybody who's around you is blessed. They're like, I'm sure I'm glad she's around. I'm sure I'm glad, you know, I'm sure I'm glad she came to our party. Our guest. I love it. Okay. Beautiful. Any questions? Any questions, you guys? Hi, Chris. Hi, Justin. William. Beautiful. It's a good reminder. Oh, there's a guest. There is one within me. There is a being in me. There is a spirit within me that I did invite. I may not remember inviting them, and I may not notice that they came because I was kind of preoccupied, right, with some illusions. But there is a guest within me that I have invited. Wow. And when I look within, I will see my guest and all the gifts that my guest brought. And everyone will be blessed. Beautiful. Okay, so now paragraph 5. You do not see how much you now can give because of everything you have received. Now, you've received a lot of gifts, but you don't see them, so you don't realize how much you now can give to others. Yet the guest who entered in your mind but waits for you to come where you invited your guest to be, which is in your mind. So I invited the guest into my mind. The guest brought gifts, and now my guest is like, how about you also come to where you invited me to be? I mean, you invited me here into your mind. How about come visit with me? It's like inviting somebody to your house, but then you are out running errands the whole time. And then your guest is like, hey, how about you come be with me where you invited me to be? All right. Then it says, there is no other place where your guest can find you. There is no other place where your host, where your guest host, you can meet with your guest, which is in you, in your mind. And nowhere else besides in your mind can your guest's gifts of peace and joy and all the happiness that your guest's presence brings can be obtained. Only in your mind, where you've invited your guest in and your guest has come, only in your mind. Wow. Can your guest's gifts of peace and joy and all the happiness your guest's presence brings be obtained? Only in your mind. That's why it says, look inward now. Look inward now. That means look inside your mind. You'll be surprised what you find. You'll find your guests and all the gifts that your guest has brought. That the world now needs from you. So, because all the gifts and the peace and the joy and the happiness, they are where your guest is that brought the gifts and the peace and the joy with your guest, that these gifts of joy and peace and happiness might be yours. Now, something you may have noticed about the guest. You cannot see the guest, okay? They do not have a body. You cannot see your guest, okay? That's one clue about the guest. They're invisible. Okay, all right. Okay, that's a good clue. Your guest is invisible. You cannot see your guest. They don't have a body. But you can see the gifts that your guest brought.
Innocence.
Yep, joy, peace, innocence, happiness. You cannot see your guest, but you can see the gifts your guest brought. And when you look upon those gifts of peace and joy and happiness, then you will believe your guest's presence must be there. When you see the effects of your guest, when you see the gifts and the effects of your guest's presence, you'll know that Holy Spirit is there. Where? In your mind. Where it is. For what? And so I love that. It says, you cannot see your guest, but you can see your guest's gifts, the gifts your guest brought. And when you look on the gifts your guest brought, then you will believe your guest's presence must be there. You will believe that your higher self must be there, because what you now can do could not be done without the love and grace of your guest's presence. I cannot see my guest, but I am convinced my guest is there in my mind, because what I just did could not have been done without the what? The grace and the love of the presence of my higher self, Holy Spirit, my guest. Yes.
And had you not been explaining this and giving us this message, I would not know what that paragraph meant.
I gotcha. Yes, I gotcha.
It's that confusing to me that I wouldn't have gotten it by myself. I would have gone, what?
Yeah.
So it's so
Thank
nice
you.
to have you
Thank
do what
you.
you do.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's the result of a lot of study. A lot
I know,
of,
but
yeah, but thank you. Thank you
not
very
everybody
much.
can convey it. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, and so like you were saying, Todd, about like what we do now, the healing that we offer, the gifts that we offer to others now, pretty damn sure you couldn't have done that in the past when you had not invited your guest. Before you had invited your guest, you weren't doing what you're doing now. And what you do now in terms of the healing that you share with others and the gifts that you now give to others, you could not have done alone without the presence and the love and the grace of Holy Spirit, your higher mind. That's for sure. That is for sure. You know, so I wish I could go back in time in a way and give to everybody in my life what I'm able to give now. And forgiveness can. Your mind, since your mind isn't limited, you can do that, right? But what I'm able to give now in terms of celebrating people's freedom from guilt, freedom to be themselves. I was not able to do that so great in the past. I don't know about you guys. I was not as good at it. And I'm not perfect at it now by any means. But what I am able to give now in terms of release from guilt, freedom to be myself, I could not do that without the love and grace of my guest presence. And that's what convinces me that the Holy Spirit is in my mind. It is there. It is real. Even if sometimes I'm not aware of it because I'm not paying attention to it. Isn't that beautiful? Appreciation for how far we've come. Appreciation for what we are able to do now as healers, as teachers, as comforters, as gifters.
Even if it's sometimes just as simple as knowing to shut up, not say anything and make it worse.
Absolutely. And who is it that guides you to do that? Your higher self. Your guest is the one who said, don't say anything, don't talk. Just go look at your workbook lesson for today. Okay, well, that's a great idea. And then, wow, like what happened, right? But, without my guide and my comforter who's like, ixnay on the walking day. Without my guide, my comforter, my guest, to guide me, to remind me with what love and grace, he's not mean, she's not mean, love and grace, I wouldn't have that good source of advice, and I wouldn't have been more loving and then had all the gains and all the gifts and all the rewards of that better choice. Beautiful. All right, any questions or comments? We actually finished a section, That's a miracle. So, tell me your thoughts on this. Like, how would you like to use these ideas? What would you like to do with them? What would you like to accept? Well, I would like to use them by remembering that learning that I am free is my release from suffering. So, wherever it is I may be suffering, use that. Go, okay, where is it that I'm letting guilt where am I letting guilt keep me from being free to be myself? Where is it that that's where I'm experiencing pain? That's a practical application of that. And then, deciding to remember that I am free, and deciding to remember that they also are free and innocent in their freedom, to give that, to remembering that for somebody that I obviously was not remembering their freedom or celebrating their freedom, wherever that is, to go, I celebrate your freedom. I celebrate your innocence. I celebrate your perfect innocence to be yourself. And I apologize for the ways that I resented your true freedom and gave you guilt. I am sorry. And even if I only say that in my mind to that person, I'm still releasing myself and them from suffering by remembering and affirming their freedom to be themselves. We're reminding people, you do not need to sacrifice in order to be free to be yourself. I'm not asking that anymore, and neither is God, neither, so, acknowledging that in the past maybe you weren't able to do that. None of us were. It's a miracle we're able to do that to whatever extent we are now.
And I like what the Course says, that the miracles that we give, Holy Spirit gives through us, touch the lives of countless souls who we may never know.
Countless. That's what it says. Exactly. That when you learn that you are free and you affirm that for others, then, the gifts that are given from you to the world, you'll never know how many. Exactly.
And the other thing that I'm reminded of is that the choose once again. We always have opportunities coming up for us to make a different choice. And so even if I haven't been able to make the choice for love in a situation or situations in the past, it's going to be arranged where I will have the opportunity to do it again. And if we take those two ideas, then then my willingness to forgive now may, at the Holy Spirit's discretion, also go retroactively to those that I've not done that for in the past.
That's exactly right. When you're affirming their freedom to be, that's a miracle, because it's a right thought. And just like you said, what does the Course say about miracles? They are retroactive, they heal retroactively as well as progressively. So, as I remember the truth and affirm the truth of them and myself, then somehow I will see the effects that there was a healing, that there was forgiveness in that relationship or that place where I wasn't remembering freedom and affirming that. I wasn't releasing them from guilt to be themselves. Somehow I'll get a call from them on the phone. Hey, how's it going? Oh, I was just thinking about you the other day. And you're like, that's a miracle, because we haven't spoken 20 years. And, because of guilt that we gave each other for each other's freedom, And so then they call you on the phone. See the effects. I've accepted the cause of the freedom, the forgiveness, the release from guilt, and then I see the effects. Yes, beautiful. It's a great comment. Anything else? Any yes buts, like, yeah, but, yeah, but. If you just, remind everybody that they're free to be themselves and you never give them any guilt, like, will you ever have a relationship again? Let's be honest here.
That's a definite thought that definitely crossed my mind when we were reading the first part of it.
It's a definite yes, but, and we're learning how to learn. We're learning that I can't lose by learning that I am free and choosing to be that. And I can't lose, affirming that, remembering that for others. I cannot lose. Anything that would leave me because I remember that I am free, and I remember that they are free from guilt. Anything that would leave me, anything I would lose, is not something that's real. If I only had it because I was not being free or allowing them to be free, remember they are free. If it's with me because of that, then it ain't real. It's not something that you want. You know, real love will never abandon you. You never have to worry that if you give real love, that you'll be alone or that you'll be abandoned. You may be abandoned by the ego, and that's a good thing. Oh yeah, that's a good thing. Okay, note to self. That's a good thing.
Guilt, go, ego.
But now where we're at, when someone who wants us to feel guilty about being free, and they feel guilty about free, now when they leave us, we cry. And we say, how could you? How could you leave me? Yes.
So what I'm hearing, the application in this is, a lot of times when we think, well, just invite the guest, just invite spirit, and we think that's a verbal thing. But in this case, what I'm hearing is to invite the guest, the spirit, to bring all these gifts. I need to give my brothers and sisters innocence, to let them be themselves.
Yes.
And when I do that, that's how I send out the invitation to the guest now to come to me.
That's beautiful.
The guest doesn't come to me by me going, I want you to come to me
Yes.
and bring
Here's my schedule.
and bring me all those gifts you're talking about.
Yeah.
Here's my sketch.
Yeah, and this Tuesday would be best.
Yeah. Because it's always the principle of you give, you receive, you're only giving
Yes.
unto yourself.
Exactly.
And so when we're giving this innocence to somebody else, it's great. We've invited the guest to our own minds,
Exactly.
to our own experience.
Exactly. And the guest is already there.
And the
Remember, the guest is already there. But you're right. As I offer that release from guilt for being themselves, then I will remember my guest is here.
Right.
And then I'll be like, oh, I got something cool inside of me.
Your access to.
Yes, exactly. So when I remind people that they are free from guilt to be themselves, I remember how much I have. And I remember who is with me. And there ain't no chance I'm going to feel lack or loneliness when I remember who is with me and what that guest brought. I ain't going to feel any lack and no loneliness. And why? Because I offered that to another. Exactly. Then I go, oh yeah.
That's how you send the guest Evite out.
Exactly. That's the guest Evite. Exactly. HS Vite. Exactly. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Any other questions or comments? Wow. Okay. Very deep, huh? Very deep. See, that's why I do random number generator, because if I had pulled that up myself, I'd been like, no. You don't want to do that one tonight. Nobody would come back if they even came at all. All right, so what I'm going to do now is announcements, love offering, and then we're going to do just a couple of minute integration meditation where we take the ideas and we use them in a creative visualization meditation process. So announcements are the schedule of my classes, and mine and Greg's classes are in the information on this video. And Greg and I do Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles on Sundays and Tuesdays on my Facebook page, 7 p.m. So if you want to learn some more about how to apply these ideas to relationships live, that's a great thing to check into. Beautiful. We also do an 11 a.m. in-person Course in Miracles class every Sunday here at the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center here in Denver. So if you're in Denver and you're looking for a class, or you're visiting Denver and looking for a class, look up the Rocky Mountain Miracle Center, and we have a class here every Sunday at 11 a.m. and it's awesome. We have a rotation of teachers, and it's awesome. Great community. Alrighty. So now we're going to do our integration meditation. So close your eyes and take a breath. And we are going to use these ideas. Take a breath and just breathe. Just notice how it feels to have heard these ideas today, and in the presence of like-minded, mighty companions. Beautiful. So now what I want you to do is I want you to bring to your awareness some area in your life right now where you are experiencing what feels like suffering. Nobody has to define what suffering is for you. Wherever it is that you feel like you are experiencing suffering, you're not at peace. Beautiful. Now, I want you to tell yourself the truth about yourself. Me learning that I am free will release me from suffering in this place, in this situation, in this relationship. Learning I am free will release me from this suffering. And learning that they are free will release them and me from this suffering. And let me remember that my freedom costs nothing. Let me remember that my freedom has no cost. Tell yourself, my freedom does not require sacrifice. I never lose when it is my freedom I choose. I never lose when it is their freedom that I choose. And in this situation or event or relationship, see yourself, imagine yourself celebrating their freedom, their innocence to be themselves. See yourself celebrating their freedom, their innocence to be themselves, free from guilt. And now, look inward. Look inward. And notice that there is no loss. There is no cause for regret. Notice what you see and feel now as you look inward. And notice whom you perceive now as you look inward. Are you alone on the inside? Notice that as you look inward now, you perceive your guest, the one whom you invited a long time ago and who has been with you ever since, waiting for you to see the gifts it has brought you and laid at your feet, and is now asking you to accept them. Perceive your guest within your mind. And see now what it is you are able to do, because your guest has come and is there within your mind now. See what it is that now you are able to do. The gifts, the miracles, the healing that you are now able to do because of your guest. And what your guest has enabled you to do. And now, I want you to hear the voice of your guest. I want you to hear the voice of your guest saying to you, I need you. I need your help in giving these gifts to everyone who walks apart, believing they are separate and alone. I need your help. Your guest is saying to you. Just remember, they will be healed when you accept freedom's gifts. Because everyone whose feet have touched the holy ground whereon you stand will receive the gifts that your guest laid there for them. See that. So we say, thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, my loving and graceful guest. Thank you, my loving and graceful guest. Thank you. Thank you for coming when I called, and thank you for staying even when I ignored you. Even though I did not give you a wholehearted welcome, my loving and graceful guest. Thank you. Thank you for coming when I called, and thank you for staying even when I was preoccupied. And thank you for all the gifts you have brought with you. And thank you for all the gifts you've enabled me to give others. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, my loving and graceful guest. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, just take a deep breath and open your eyes and yawn and stretch and wiggle your fingers and your toes. Beautiful. Well, thank you guys for coming out today. Thank you for coming. Thank you guys on Facebook and YouTube for showing up. Thank you for joining this healing circle. I appreciate you all more than I can say. And see you next time I see you.
We will.
Yeah, yeah.